Welcome to the Business Spotlight. I'm Rick Plaskett, a certified business and leadership coach here in Columbus, Ohio. Today, my guest is Jack McClintock. He is the leader of not one, but three different companies: Thread Media House, Sentry, and GP Creative. Today, we're going to talk to him about his businesses, the challenges, his best practices, and share a peek into what it's really like to build and operate businesses. If this is your first time on the channel, please make sure that you like and subscribe. It helps us. It also marks it so that you can come back and find these conversations in the future. So Jack, welcome and thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Rick, and thank you for the work that you do for entrepreneurs and business leaders like me.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, listen, this is going to be kind of fun for our audience because we are truly looking at not an owner, not a CEO, but above that, he is the leader of not one, but three different companies. And he's shared with me that he's a serial entrepreneur. So I think we're going to focus a little bit on that and find out, what are the base foundations that Jack needs to be that type of serial entrepreneurs. So, Jack, could you give us a little bit of a background on yourself and tell us maybe a little bit about what makes each of those three companies unique?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. So I started really my whole journey as an entrepreneur in 2010. At the time, I was actually studying business. I was studying business operations at Ohio State University, and I figured, sort of at the time, hey, what better way to be in business school than to go ahead and start a business? Why not? That sounds like fun. So I registered my first business, which was GP Creative. We are a content agency. So we focus on the development of media across photo, video, graphic design, website development. We also do communication strategy and planning. Our niche really is nonprofits, but we serve small business and growing businesses as well. So that was the first time I'd experienced entrepreneurship. Sort of fast forward through the years. Eventually, I discovered, although I love the development of media and being creative and all of the things that come along with that, the thing that I really love is leading businesses and developing businesses. And so as I continued to grow, sort of in my professional career, I continued to aspire to build more businesses and other companies and come alongside as a leader in those businesses as well. And so I have now come into transition of leadership of Sentry Management, which is a real estate management company, mostly located in Dayton, Ohio, or the majority of our properties. I help lead the development of that business and and the infrastructure, sort of the accounts on that, and then also more recently, arts and entertainment, the cultivation of arts and entertainment media. So think long form literature, motion picture, fiction, narrative type work, and have started to do investment and development of media in that space as well.
Awesome, awesome. So to set the stage for the viewers, in those each of those three companies, what's your current ownership status? I mean, are you the one solopreneur owner in each of those, or is there a role that is played by outside the business?
Yeah, great question. And it's a really fun answer because I have just some amazing people in my life that I get to partner with alongside as I do business. So with GP Creative, I founded the company as a solopreneur, and at the time, really it was just a housing for my freelance career. But in 2014, I got married and actually made a decision to share that company with my wife. And so the two of us now co-own. She's actually technically the majority owner because I wanted to equip her and continue to give her the opportunity to lead the company. And we wanted to, it seemed kind of silly because we were married and we were both like, yeah, it's both ours. We both own it. But we really wanted to be able to identify her as the majority owner in that business. And so I continue to be the CEO of that company, and we partner very closely together to lead that company. The second company, Sentry Management, is actually an interesting scenario because I came into that company. The founder of that, my business partner Chip, actually built those properties back in 2000 and had been running and developing the company through 2021, 2022 when I came on board. So it's actually only been fairly recently. And since then, I've now transitioned into the president and CEO of Sentry Management and Company. So I am now helping to lead those entities. But Chip is the primary owner, and there are other owners as well in that company alongside the properties. companies. And then the last one is Thread Media House. And that is my most recent endeavor that's about 2 years old now. And that is actually a 50-50 partnership. My business partner that I mentioned, Chip, on the real estate side is my business partner in that new company. But I'm leading the operations and also functioning in the day-to-day leadership of that company.
Super. So if you take a look at your role as the leader, ballpark figure, how do you break it down? What percentage of your hours are in the business, working the job, taking care of the nuts and the bolts and the problems that pop up versus on the business, which is looking to the future? What's the future of each of these three companies? And you've got a three-pronged fork here, so I'm very interested to hear, are
Yeah.
they the same or are they different?
No, yeah, they are different. So, part of it depends on the season. There are certain, times of the year and certain just seasons in general that require more attention on one versus the other. That being said, I have mostly worked my way out of the day-to-day of the agency, and I've worked my way mostly out of the day-to-day on the property management real estate company. So in both of those cases, we've built up a team. I've got about 25 or 26 employees that I manage between those two entities. And by manage, really, I mean I'm leading then my managers who are going and actually leading the company. So one of the aspirations I've always had as an entrepreneur, and everybody has, I think, different goals in this regard. Some people find themselves functioning in an amazing way as the sort of central part of a small business, right? Where the business relies on their presence, relies on their relationships. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but that's different than what my aspiration was. I wanted to be able to build a team of people that I could equip to then lead those entities into the future. And so with those two, that's been the case. And so the majority of the day-to-day is run by that team. In the case of Thread Media House, being a little bit newer, right now I am spending the majority of my time on that. I am doing a lot of relationship building, spending a lot of my time doing R&D and figuring out sort of the best path forward. So right now, also Thread Media House does not have any other employees. It's just myself and my business partner. So that sort of explains the need for me spending a good majority of my time there. But that's the breakdown.
Super. So listen, when we think of the future, it's important to take a look at the topic of building a great team. Leaders have to have a team, teams have to have a leader. How would you describe your leadership style in each of these businesses if they're different? And by the way, has it changed over the last few years?
Yeah, it absolutely has changed. So with GP Creative, going on 15 years now, early on, as I mentioned, I was mostly the solopreneur. It was a freelance career more than anything.
Mhm.
So, once the aspiration grew larger than that, that was a huge shift in my leadership, both in terms of what it meant on a day to day, and also what my vision was for that future of what I was trying to aspire to. So, bringing on Taylor, my wife, obviously was one big change. The two of us in our partnership had to learn how to lead one another and continue to build vision together for the company. And so I was spending a lot of time early on doing that, the infrastructure, figuring out who is our customer, what do they really need, and are we meeting that need? The way that worked for us was primarily we started a video production, and it was only later that we started to realize, some people coming to us who wanted a video, really they needed a brand or a website, or they needed someone to be a strategic partner. And so we began to understand that we had some of that knowledge and could offer those services for those partners that we were serving. And so we ended up expanding through the years, but my role in all of that was very hands-on. And it wasn't until 2019-ish, it was really right before COVID season, that I started, well, Taylor and I really started to want to prepare the business to not have to include us in it. And that was the first time that really shifted. We changed our mindset from, okay, now this is the business that surrounds us, it revolves around us, to this is the business we want to build and bring other people into. And that's a completely different leadership style, right? Like it's a totally different thought. When you're trying to prepare a business to function without you, that's very different than a growth mindset with you in the middle of the business. So Leadership shifted there. Obviously, leadership shifted then during the COVID season, just by necessity of what we all had to learn and go through in that season. And then more recently, with the two other businesses since the COVID season, I've had to have a whole new season of learning in terms of my leadership because I'm doing enough different things now that it's not just a matter of me wanting to build a business that functions without me. The business has to function without me. Like it's a necessity now. It's changed from a goal or a vision to I'm in the middle of this. How do I sustain that? And so for me, it's the day to day, the understanding that I've got there's a really great book called, I think it's The Main Thing. And they say in that, what's the one thing that I should be doing right now, such that by doing so, everything else either becomes easier or unnecessary. And I'm spending basically every day now trying to figure that out to keep, as I've heard you talk about, Rick, harmony in my life between my personal life, my businesses, and my sanity, I guess. It's like you got to keep that harmony.
Yeah, absolutely. And in that harmony, the harmony changes because when you're a solopreneur, and even when you start to bring in a few people around you, you're the hub of the business. So imagine that you're the hub of that spinning wheel.
Yeah,
And the first step to have a business that runs without you is to break you away from that hub of the bicycle and put you in the bicycle seat. So now that you're driving the business and other people are the wheels and the spokes that are turning. And then ultimately, we need to get you off of the seat and have someone else chauffeuring you as you drive through. But now you brought up a point, and I know that we've talked about this before. You've shared that you feel one of your superpowers is establishing good boundaries. And yet you also shared just now that Taylor, your wife, is your business partner in one of these businesses. So
yeah,
that's when families work together in a business, that can be a superpower. You
yeah,
guys finish each other's sentences, you know what each other's doing, and you're kind of together 24/7. So
yeah,
all of those are the positive. The negative is when all of a sudden your personal time and your family time collides over the dinner table and it can be kind of messy. So if you wouldn't, without getting too personal, what have you done to establish those boundaries? And what would you say your next level of learning is in those boundaries?
yeah. So I have to start with the big disclaimer, as I think anybody should. If they don't say this, I would borderline say they're being dishonest. But we're always learning, right? Like there is a constant struggle there for us to understand how that works. In part because the dynamics, the variables, right, that are involved in that are always changing. So in some regards, the very core of entrepreneurship is how we adjust to the constantly changing variables. How do we discover new solutions to keep sort of current with whatever the world's throwing at us? So, and that's the same for any relationship too, right? Regardless of whether or not you decide to run a business together, in this case, which we're doing, you still have to be able to be dynamic and shift and change based on what the world's thrown at you. So for us, some of the practical ways, I guess, is we've created really good, I think, a good understanding of the right time to talk about business and the right time not to talk about business. And probably more importantly than that, though, and this is, I think, maybe an indicator also of who we are and our personality types, but um, for us, we have not found the need to have such a distinction between our personal life and our business life. We sort of recognize it as all in, one and the same. We view sort of the things that we do together as a part of our marriage. And in this case, that means the business is a part of our marriage. Now, we also need time where we are cultivating our meaningful relationship in more than just a business sense. So we have to create intentional space for
Mhm.
that. But it doesn't necessarily mean that, like, okay, no business talk at home, or something like that. We haven't had to put those closely, those well-defined barriers in place, because we've prioritized the other aspects of our relationship as well.
That's awesome. Personally, and if through my business and through the clients that I have coached, um, there's basically a rhythm of communication. And as long as you have a consistent rhythm of communication,
Yes.
then a lot of those frictions just go away. I know when to do things. And it's as simple as everybody professes a date night in the relationship
Yep.
so that you can go out and celebrate all that is good. Well, that's great, but if you don't have a balanced family business meeting, then all of a sudden date night becomes sitting down, looking at each other across the dinner table saying, I've been meaning to talk to you about this. Okay.
Yeah.
Separate those two. If you have a known business, family business meeting, and that's where you can bring up what all needs to be done for the family and separate that from the celebration of the joy, like you said. And then having those same two things from a business standpoint.
Yeah.
I would look at celebrating the joy would be to get together and recognize what the two of you have achieved and be grateful for that. If you're not having a regular gratitude date night for the business, you're kind of missing out. That's
Yeah.
that's a little shot of endorphin that everybody can get when you do recognize the good. It's so easy to say, here's all the challenges that we got to knock down. But remembering to celebrate what you have achieved and what you do have is so, so very powerful.
Yeah, that
So,
is an excellent reminder, and something that I think actually we'll want to take into. We have our regular, date nights, but I'd like to be more intentional, sort of with the wisdom you just shared there. One other thing I think for us is we also are a young family. We just have recently. I've got a 3-year-old boy, and so that enters a whole other new dynamic to it, right? We're both entrepreneurs and business leaders, and now we have a toddler. And so that's a whole new season where we're learning. But those moments of cultivating gratitude, those intentional moments of communication, absolutely, I think that is what makes or breaks, right, the scenario of a continuing healthy relationship.
so as a 3-year-old, I'm certain that both you and Taylor have already experienced the cringe moment when you hear your son saying something and recognizing it actually came from your lips,
Oh
that you
yeah.
were the ones that created
Like,
that.
oh, where did you hear that? Oh, wait. Oh, that was me, wasn't it? Yes.
Yeah. We, in that same vein, be aware of how you are talking about business in front of them. I've been working with several clients that are working on succession planning, and
Mm,
one of them called me up absolutely crying, saying, hey, I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. I have built this business and I wanted to give it to my son. And when I approached him and said, I really want you to come in and take over the business, he cried, he screamed, he ran out of the house saying, why, Dad? I thought you loved me. And
mm,
all his son could remember is hearing all the times his dad came
ah,
home complaining about something in the business.
sure,
And that was a lot to process to get over a bad feeling, a bad identity, and recognize what the full potential could be. So,
sure.
again, I've been there, done that. I got the scars to prove it, and the t-shirt is long worn out of be careful around the younger generation of what we say. I'm starting to sound more like my dad every single day, and some of it's not good.
Yeah, yep, I
Some
get
of
that.
it's great, but some of it's not good. Well, listen, we have certainly covered a lot of ground today. And for those of you that are watching, I highly encourage you to come back and watch this again a few times because Jack has definitely given us some great nuggets, particularly around leadership. And I love the way he just presents it so calm, so matter of fact, just almost bubbly, if you will. It's like you don't have a care in the world, that you got this covered. It's all in the works and you're doing the right things. I love it. I love it. So listen, as we wrap up, Jack, I want to hit a section I call rapid fire questions. All I'm looking for is what's top of your mind. You ready for these?
All right, let's go. Yeah.
Super. Jack, what is your key to success?
I'm going to steal yours. Gratitude.
Okay. What would one piece of advice be that you would give to another business owner?
I think a lot of the times as business owners, we always pretend, maybe not even pretend, we strive towards success that we think is in front of us. And this is sort of a gratitude thing too, without remembering or being grateful or finding the joy in where we are now. Entrepreneurs are always thinking ahead. And so I think I would just say simply, don't forget to find this success where you are now.
Perfect. Perfect. Jack, what's a book that you're reading now?
Ooh, I've read a lot of books recently that I've really enjoyed. Um, let's see, what's one of the ones that I've enjoyed most recently that I would recommend? I just read Unreasonable Hospitality. That's Will Guidara. It's a pretty good one. I also read there's a popular book going around right now called The Anxious Generation, which is particularly I think pertinent to young families and people who are in the millennial generation and younger. Um, yeah, so I guess I would just share those two books for now.
Jack, if you had to choose one area of your business that you could immediately improve tomorrow, what would it be?
I think I probably have a different answer for each of the businesses, but let me try to consolidate in maybe one thing. I think as, entrepreneurs, we're always trying to find the balance between what is repeat business or sort of automated revenue processes and the reality of what end up being sort of one-off consultation type arrangements. And so, the one thing that I would change is always having to feel like you're, generating new business. And I love the ability to build new relationships, but I'm really excited to build systems that sort of continue that revenue generation automatically.
Fabulous, fabulous. So listen, Jack, before we get to the final question today, how can people get a hold of you if they want to become one of your new customers or if they just really like what you've said today and they want to talk further with you?
Yeah, for sure. Would love to connect. I think probably the easiest first step would be via LinkedIn. LinkedIn's sort of become a thing again. So if you just search my name, Jack McClintock, on LinkedIn, you should be able to see Thread Media House, Sentry Management, GP Creative. If you find those things, you've got the right guy. You can also check out our agency, especially gpcreativeteam.com, is a great place to be able to find our portfolio, and our contact information is on that website as well.
Fabulous. Thank you. All right. So here's the last question. What's most inspiring to you today, Jack?
Mm. I think the most inspiring thing, and I've said a little bit with the idea of gratitude and with the idea of sort of understanding that our success can be now, even when we have really big goals for the future, we can still celebrate where we are. In that same vein, the most inspirational thing to me is just to slow down, relax a little bit, and sort of adopt a longer term mindset. I'm in my low 30s. I'm 33 years old, so I'm really young. And there's just been a consistent and constant nagging to get to the next step, right? And that's something that I think more recently I've been inspired to slow down. My business partner and mentor, he often says life is long, and the world wants us to think that it's not. And sometimes the harsh reality is it isn't. But to live in such a hurry, I think, is it robs us of joy and the ability to really be where we are. And so I'm inspired to be where I am.
That's a great inspiration. We'll have to talk about that further because I'm not going to expose how many more times I've been around the sun than you, but I'm at the stage where, yes, slowing down and wondering why I was in such a hurry to begin with
Yeah,
is a constant meditation of mine. So,
yeah.
hey, Jack, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your journey. And to you, the audience, thank you for watching. We're inspired by everything that I heard from Jack today. And folks, if you are too, come back and see us again. Make it a great day and bye for now.